Alright, ladies and gentlemen, get some guts! I hope you're ready for some more Dawn of War 2 Elite Mod action. We've got Bruce Campbell as the Chaos Sorcerer. We've got Val.Hero as the Mech Boy. We're on Fedrid Folly, one of the classic 1v1 maps, at least classic as far as Elite Mod goes. I feel like everybody plays on this map pretty regularly. But Orcs versus Chaos, Val.Hero versus Bruce Campbell, it's gonna be a good one. I don't know if this is just them warming up on the new patch, getting ready for the Elite Mod League or what, but I think I'm ready for this. I think I'm ready for this. All right, we've got some Chaos Heretics coming in. We've got double Sluggers coming in for Val.Hero. I don't know how I feel about double Sluggers against the Chaos Sorcerer. I feel like Chaos Sorcerer has Doom Bolts, has the Sword of Flame, has Heretics with their Aspiring Champions. I feel like double Sluggers can be pretty dicey, but I guess the idea is that maybe we're going to see the mech with the electric armor to kind of control the Heretics and open up opportunities for the Sluggers to get in here and cause some chaos amongst the chaos. Let's get rid of this too. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so the Orcs coming out, taking some Doom Bolts. Pretty nice hit actually. Takes the Sluggers down to half health. They immediately have to fall back, even lose a model despite all that. The second squad of Sluggers going to the far end to hold on to some victory points. So Chaos takes the middle of the map while the Orcs are going to try to control the eastern side over there. A 2-0 cap currently after these first couple opening scuffles. So Bruce has spotted the second Slugger squad there. He knows there are two Sluggers, or at least he should assume. I guess he hasn't actually spotted this first squad, but the timing of this second squad coming out of the base means that he should know that this is a double Slugger opening. So let's see what he does to prepare for that. He hasn't built any generators, so I guess maybe he's going for either some quick Raptors. He hasn't spent money on anything else. I haven't seen any Aspiring Champion upgrades or anything like that. This Mech Boy being so such a pain, teleporting around. He was starting to pick off some models of these Heretics, but it looks like it was mostly mitigated by Bruce Campbell. Peter the Pain Boy coming out for Val.Hero. Now the Pain Boy has received some nerfs this patch. He's not quite as effective as he used to be. His heals took some nerfs and things like that. So we'll see if the Pain Boy still has the impact that we're used to him seeing. I don't know if we're going to see storms behind this or simply with the double Sluggers is the plan. But, oh, actually Noise Marines, not Raptors coming out first. Noise Marines instead. That'll be pretty effective for controlling the Slugger boys. They do pretty big AoE damage to both the Sluggers and Shooters. The Cacophony, of course, the knockback can line up some nice shots for Doom Bolts as well. But it just, it depends on how they're going to execute here. We're seeing the Vestments of the Warp come online for the Sorcerer. So he's going to be able to follow the Mech Boy around as he teleports around. And also probably hop on things like the Shooter Boys when it's relevant. Double gens down right now for the Orc player, and still none for the Chaos, but the Chaos has pretty much the entire map right now, so looking pretty nice. Here comes the first engagement with the Noise Marines. The Cacophony goes down, but with the heal of the Pain Boy, as soon as this Cacophony wears off, they're just gonna have to retreat anyway. So really all that did was stall for a little bit. As we predicted, the electric armor is coming online for the Mech Boy. The Sorcerer is here, but quite beat up. Is this going to be an early hero down? I don't think it's quite going to happen. No, he will be able to get out of there relatively unscathed, hop on back to the base and heal up a little bit. That said, this is the only point right now that Val.Hero controls. Looking at the income right now, Val.Hero is ahead by 10 power in the tech race, but the requisition is about 90 in favor of Bruce Campbell per minute, so pretty huge differential there. Aspiring Champion coming down, and the thing with the Heretics too, on a single model entity like this, the Heretics can't actually surround it very well. You can see the Aspiring Champion can't even get his hits in. And suddenly the Mech Boy teleports in, starts zapping all these Heretics, and well, there you go. There's a bunch of dead Heretics next to that requisition point. A shocking revelation for those poor Chaos boys. Worship can't save them here. Aspiring Champion on the second squad as well, engaging the Slugger boys. This time they should be able to win this fight pretty handily. I think the Aspiring Champion makes the Heretics pretty well outmode. Oh my gosh. With that knockback, actually. I think it would have been, well, no, actually, maybe not. I thought the aspiring champion ticks would take on the sluggers pretty well, but it looks like the sluggers were handling that. Granted, if they had stuck around after that knockback, they may well have gotten overwhelmed and taken some pretty big losses. Bruce Campbell sending the Noise Marines up the eastern side during all that to open up a potential gen bash. Takes out one generator, but that looks like about all that's going to go down. Mechboy teleports in. Cacophony goes down and knocks everything over here, but it looks like, again, with the Painboy coming out early, it just makes a couple single entity squads that are pretty hard to deal with if you don't have some good focus fire. And since Bruce Campbell has kind of a melee focused army right now, it's a little difficult to do that. Aspiring champion does engage over here. Sword of Flame goes down. We have the kind of classic build here from the Chaos Sorcerer. At least the classic tier 1 Sword of Flame and Vestments are down. That's why we haven't seen any more bigger tier 1 squads. A lot of upgrades coming out for Bruce Campbell. With both the aspiring champions, the upgrades on the Sorcerer, and nothing on the Chaos Space Marines yet. Not a lot you can get for them early. I think you can get is it the only war you can still get in tier 1, I believe? Gens get replaced, but the Sorcerer's just going to stall for as long as possible and buy some time for these Noise Marines to try to get maybe a gen kill, maybe 2. But it looks like it's just going to be the one. The second, yeah, it would have been pretty brazen to try to take that. Orcs control the mid, but Chaos is trying to take that back, at least for the time being. Both requisitions here have actually stayed in their hands long enough to get fully matured. 281 to 437 right now, and Dark.Hero's pretty well behind on the victory points. Hasn't managed to get out of the base too much, despite it seeming like he's really been winning more of the engagements. Bruce Campbell's managing to push him back and keep him pretty constricted. And Bruce Campbell, since he owns more of the map, or at least owned more of it throughout the match, means that he can throw away a little more on those more aggressive pushes and still stay in the lead. No tier ups from either player yet. Bruce Campbell's not far from it. But it looks like everyone's just kind of positioning now and getting set up for the next series of engagements here. No one really deciding to move in. The triple Daka now down here on the Mechboy to get some more DPS down on the range front. Mechboy activates the electric armor. Sword of Flame comes down. Both players vying for control via AoE, but of course those heretics are much more susceptible. Only this aspiring champion goes down. He's going to go round up another rabble of heretics and bring them back out onto the field here shortly. Slugger Boys narrowly escaped death there, heading home with just a couple models at about 60 HP. Noise Marines could have burned that down very quickly. Mechboy, being very brazen in the face of all this, actually manages to take down 2 of those Noise Marine models with that last electric armor and one final volley from the Shooter Boys. But Bruce continuing to try to control the map wherever possible. We do have the Pain Boy on the far side over here, not choosing to engage with the rest of the army. Bruce heads into tier 2. Mechboy using some range global there to try to make sure those Space Marines had no choice but to retreat. Heretics moving forward. Now these Heretic versus Slugga engagements seem to be very high they're very requisition intensive for both sides usually. This time it looks like the Slugga's got the better engagement of both of those squads. But yeah, you can see it pretty much as soon as these melees start, if one player doesn't decide that they have the advantage, they just have to get out of there. Like, if I were to guess, I'd say that probably 20 heretics have already died and not many less Sluggas than that as well. .408 to 240. Painboy just barely manages to get the knockback, deny that cap. And the orcs look like they're starting to take back the map. Blood Crusher coming out. Dark.Hero's heading into tier 2, but there's going to be a time where this Blood Crusher is unanswered, at least for a few moments. Slugganobs aren't bad against the Blood Crusher, but he's still going to need a hard anti-vehicle option. I don't know if that's just going to be some tank busters. That seems the most likely choice, or maybe a beaming death gun on the Mech Boy, but that's quite expensive, and I don't think it's necessarily worth it against just the Blood Crusher, but we'll see what Val.Hero decides to go for. I wasn't sure if we were going to see some electric armor or not. Mech Boy thinks better of it. Some warship coming in. There are spotters. The Shooter Boy knob can detect and does spot that Blood Crusher out on the field. The Blood Crusher charging the Orc line. And there's nothing the Orcs can do about it. At least not at the moment. We'll see what Val.Hero chooses to purchase here in Tier 2. Man, these heretics just seem like they're not getting anything done. Oh my gosh. I don't know if he forgot about the Blood Crusher or what, but this Shooter Boy squad, oh, getting out of there just barely. But despite that engagement, the map is quite red. Oh, Mech Boy, I don't think you're going to get to go home this time around. Oh, smacked him. That wasn't even a sword slice. He just took the broadside of the sword and just smacked him across the face with it. Knocked him right on his butt. Do orcs have butts? Orcs are fungus. Do they excrete? I don't know what orcs actually eat. Do they eat? I assume they eat. Maybe they don't. I don't know anything about how orcs work. How does fungus survive? They have mouths. Are their mouths solely for talking and communication? These are the deep lore questions I really need to know about 40k. I really don't care about the Emperor or the Imperial of Man. I just need to know how orcs eat and poop. Alright. Here we go. Tank busters. And Slugga's pushing out. Now going to be much more of a threat to the Blood Crusher. The Blood Crusher can't run around unopposed, but we do have the Blastmaster Dubstep Cannon over here for the Noise Marines. I think it's been spotted by the Orcs. They haven't decided to fire on anything yet. Bruce Campbell with a little drop micro there. Once they're stealthed, I think you do have to command them specifically to fire on something. A shot goes out, eaten by the Shooter Boys. A tank buster barrage went down, not to much effect. But the orcs are being relentless elsewhere on the map, constantly capping. Sorcerer has given up, hanging out with the rest of the boys, gonna go cap the map on his own. And Bruce Campbell heading into Tier 3. Have we not seen Slugganobs yet? No, there's a knob on this squad. Okay, I was confused because I felt like despite how deep into Tier 2 we are, I was surprised to not see Slugganobs. The Pain Boy and the Mech Boy should be enough to force off this Sorcerer, but the Sorcerer is just continuing to try to harass these tank busters. But the thing is, yeah, now that Bruce knows that the tank busters are on that side of the map, the Blood Crusher can just kind of freely run around over here. It's just going to hang out. You can't actually shoot around this corner until you're up the stairs, so this is a pretty good position for it.
You are losing us a victory point.
Death Dread coming up. Tank busters did lose a model, so they're not doing as much damage, but they're going to come over here. It doesn't look like... Well, the Sorcerer's over here. As soon as the Sorcerer heals up, that should be pretty easy to deal with. Now, some aggressive play here by Bruce Campbell. He recognizes that there's only one source of anti-vehicle, so as long as that Blood Crusher can keep these tank busters engaged, there's not really a lot that can be done about it. The Slugganob might be enough, considering how low on health this Blood Crusher already is. So yeah, he decides to pull back. The Slugganob does do a little bit less damage. It took about a 10% damage debuff here in this most recent patch, so the Slugganob doesn't hit quite as hard. It's still a nasty model, but it doesn't do quite as much as it used to. Swamp him gets activated. Sluggers ain't afraid of no range damage. Force off the Noise Marines, probably forcing off these Chaos Space Marines as well. Death Dread is stomping forward over here. But Bruce Campbell's in tier 3 and probably about to get a Chaos Predator or something similar. Oh, I spoke too soon. Instead, we're gonna have some Chaos Terminators. They're big, they're bad, they're super heavy infantry, and they've got some big mean weapons as well. And there's nothing out here that's going to be able to hurt them. This is two threats right now that are pretty spooky for Val.Hero to deal with. That said, Val.Hero's still running around on the map with these Slugger Boys. Got the decap on the natural requisition over here, taking the victory points up on the high ground on this western side of the map. And the Death Dread was a weird purchase kind of this late in tier 2. I don't really know what to think of it. Like, the Death Dread can fight the Blood Crusher, but it's not really it's not going to want to tangle with both the Blood Crusher and the Terminators at this stage.
We have the advantage for now.
Alright, so here comes the Blood Crusher and the Terminators engaging with the Death Dread. Tank Bus is ready to blast some rockets into this fight as well, so should be able to threaten the Blood Crusher. That's enough to get him out of there. Looks like the Terminators think better of it as well. Blastmaster nails our Pain Boy. And here comes more Electric Armor. More Electric Armor comes down. The Death Dread's tearing into it. It looks like the Terminators want to engage and use those Power Fists to try to scare off this Death Dread, but they might want to focus on that Pain Boy instead at this stage. The Death Dread's getting away. The Pain Boy's in the thick of it here. Slug is now moving in. We haven't really seen the Orcs fight together yet. It's always been kind of small chunks of armies fighting together. We haven't seen a big wah. We haven't seen these Slugger Boys really get their use, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. As soon as those Slugger Boys get in on something, that knob gets a couple swings in. It's going to be bad news for somebody. In this case, it was the Chaos Sorcerer. He is downed, but the Sorcerer wasn't at this stage really that much of a big deal for Bruce. He's got these bigger threats on the field. He's got the Terminators and the Blood Crusher. The Terminators are starting to get pretty beat up, though. They will have to fall back and heal up at some point soon here, unless they start dropping some models. And Terminator models are not cheap. Not at all. And now at this stage in the game, the Sluggers are definitely outpacing the Heretics. The Heretics level 2 along with the Sluggers, but the Sluggers with their Knob and their Burners will make short work of any of those Heretic squads. Death Dread still managing to pressure the Blood Crusher. And it goes down. A final volley from the Tank Busters, and of course a couple swings from that Death Dread was all it really took. And these Sluggers, this is what I was talking about. Once the Sluggers all come into force with the rest of the Orc army, it seemed like it was a pretty easy route right there. We just hadn't really seen that moment until now. Val.Hero was doing a great job of spreading out and kind of mitigating the VP bleed, but at this point it's 231 to 170. So he's closing the gap pretty well and finally took a nice big engagement there. Took out the Blood Crusher, dropped the Sorcerer, a Chaos Predator coming on the field opposite of a looted tank. So both players in the next big engagement are going to have tanks. Those tanks will likely determine the victor, who can hold theirs and use them the best to control their opponent. Now, the Tank Busters and of course the Slugger Knobs themselves are pretty big vehicle deterrents. There's still a Death Dread on the field for Val.Hero as well, so this could be pretty tricky to keep this tank alive. Once the tank comes out, we might even see something like a Beamy on the Mech Boy. Since the Triple Dock is already purchased, it's not as difficult to go for a Beamy and then switch to a different gun since the gun's already been invested in. Oh, I'm not sure what this Pain Boy's doing. He's jumping right into the thick of it. Will he go down? Strangely enough, he survives. Now, the Sluggers in here as well. A flanking Death Dread forces off the Chaos Predator and allows the Mech Boy to teleport in, drop the electric armor, and force off both of these Heretic squads. 172 to 170. It's all even up now with the 2-0 cap against Bruce Campbell. He needs to do something to get on the map and force off these orcs. Look at all these dead heretics. There are so many dead heretics. How many heretics do you think have died this game? I would get, it's got to be like 50, right? A nice flanking attack here from the Chaos Predator, putting the looted tank down to about half of its health. Cult of Speed gets activated, though, to try to threaten this thing. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Where are those tank busters? The tank busters are on the far side of the map, away from this Predator. If the tank busters were here on the flank, when he pushed in, I feel like he could have maybe baited the Predator back. That Death Dread very fortunate to keep its life. Both players healing up, getting their vehicles patched up and ready for the next fight. But Bruce Campbell only has another try or two to really put a dent into this orc army. Missed shot by the Blastmaster. The tank is in range, but for whatever reason the Blastmaster hit that cover there instead of actually connecting with the tank. Tank busters are over here, but the flank is not exposed. This time the Chaos Terminators are watching the rear side of the tank, along with the Heretics moving up to engage the tank busters. Sorcerer's on the far side getting the points, so the VPs will change hands here shortly, with Bruce Campbell with about 80 remaining as the VPs even up. The Heretics moved in a little ahead of everything else. They have to fall back now. Now he doesn't have the disruption he was really looking for. A nice looking tank buster barrage takes that Predator down to about half health. Requisition points changing hands once again, going back to the Chaos player. Bruce Campbell doing what he can. It looks like Val.Hero's committed to just holding this side of the map at this point. He's letting the Sorcerer just run the far side over there. Sluggers can't quite fight the Terminators on their own. And the Chaos Predator's constantly falling back here against the opposing Orc tank. Still triple DACA on the Mech Boy. I'm surprised there's nothing capping this point right now. Is this the Mega Rumbler? Oh my gosh, it's the Mega Rumbler. Oh, what is he doing? This tank is way too far exposed. The tanks trade out. Both tanks go down, but it looks like the Mech Boy does as well. The cap gets neutralized on this forward VP against Bruce Campbell, but both tanks are off the field now. The Mega Rumbler didn't seem like it did too much. It stunned maybe a couple of these models. I don't know if it's similar to, I guess, the stun bomb in that if one model of the squad gets stunned by the Mega Rumbler, does it stun the whole squad? I'm not sure. Big push from the Chaos Forces here with the Orc tank down. They're feeling much more confident. The Death Dread's pretty low as well. Still no upgrade on these Chaos Terminators. They've stayed neutral. I'm surprised we haven't seen an autocannon on them. If there was an autocannon here, this Death Dread might well be dead. Looks like the Power Fists are going to be all they need, though. The Power Fists are going to take it out. Pain Boy has no choice but to retreat, and there's just no answer to these Terminators. Still, these Terminators have been on the field for a long time. The only real thing that threatened them was the tank, and once the tank went down, Bruce Campbell identified the opportunity to make a big push forward. There are only two Terminators remaining, but it's looking like Val.Hero may have lost his edge. That said, the Sorcerer does go down here, so both heroes down and out. Oh, just as I say that, the Mech Boy comes back online. VPs are ticking down for Val.Hero. It's 60 to 128, and we're getting down to the wire. Decap goes down over here with the Tank Busters, with the Chaos Predator no longer on the field. That's the best choice for a capping squad at the moment. Sluggos, a Pain Boy, and Tank Busters. That's really about it that's on the field right now. Val.Hero's lost both the Death Dread and his tank, so no more vehicles out here. Nice flank. I don't even know where these Sluggers came from. Where did they come from? They're behind everything. They forced pretty much a full retreat from the Chaos. The only thing that isn't retreating is the Terminators because they can't. They hit a teleport and try to get out of there. But a second squad of Terminators. Oh my god. 6 Terminators now on the field, or at least 5 right now for Bruce Campbell. And what are the Orcs going to do against this? There's nothing that can deal with super heavy infantry right now. And even aggressive teleport right now for the Chaos Terminators. Still don't save the majority of the ticks, but the squad will return home, at least for the time being. I don't know what the Pain Boy intends to do about this, but it isn't going to end well for him. What does Val.Hero have resources for at this stage? We don't have any knobs on the field. Knobs would be a big threat. Another tank would be a big threat. There isn't that much anti-vehicle out here. Alright, the Termin's gonna go down. They teleport out. With 8 health. 8 health Terminators. 60 to 96, a 2-0 cap. Is this going to be the end for Val.Hero? He has a reasonable army, but these Terminators are just largely unanswered. 80 to 60 with the VPs changing hands here finally. The Mech Boy is looking for the kill. Can he get the volley down to finish off these guys? One squad of Terminators is off the field, but really all you need is one squad. You don't really need both. One is usually enough, but as it stands right now, things are getting pretty dicey. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty. When you're down under 100 victory points on both sides tend to get pretty blinded. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's letting this squad survive. They walk through both Heretics and Terminators with like 100 HP. Mega Rumbler comes in once again. Doesn't look like it's going to hit much. And the VP's even out yet again. Sorcerer gets repurchased. An Orc truck coming onto the field. Oh my gosh. Orc truck switching out the Mega Rumbler for the battery pack. So we've now seen all 3 of the Mech Boys' armors in this game. We've seen the battery pack. We've seen the electric armor. We've seen the Mega Rumbler. The Mega Rumbler's an expensive upgrade. I mean, it checks out. It's a very Val.Hero upgrade, right? It is a very Val.Hero upgrade. It is expensive and weird, and sometimes can do a whole lot. Oh my gosh! Chaos Marines go down to the Orc melee brawl here. There's a whole bunch of sluggers in here. The Sorcerer's trying to hold. I hope these Terminators have their teleport, because if not, they might actually be in a bit of trouble here. The Caps are getting desperate. Sorcerer is teleporting the Terminators out. But a Rox comes down. A Rox on the point. Oh no! The Terminators are going to die! It's become a mess, I'm telling you. Once you get down under 100 points, all bets are off, because both players just start playing frantically. Oh no! Heretics go down. Bruce is down to nothing but 1 squad of Heretics and Noise Marines, but there's only 10 points remaining. Val.Hero's trying to get the cap. Can he do it in time? Oh my gosh. 3, 2, 1. Oh, look. Look at how close it was. Bruce has nothing left. This is literally Bruce's entire army. This is it, right here. 3 dudes. Just hanging out watching one of the 5G towers. Oh my god. I mean, I don't know if it was planned that way, but it worked out. Bruce threw away his entire army to just barely stall long enough to stay. To stay in the game. Oh my god, what a mess that was. What a mess. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Woo, that was a fun one. That's a nice precursor because the Elite League is starting here in a week or so. So we're going to be casting a lot of that. We're going to be playing in it as well. I don't know if I'll have any cast-worthy games, but we'll certainly be casting the matches that we get in. And of course, since we're sending this to the YouTubes, I got to tell everybody, if you enjoyed the game, you know what you got to do. You got to hit all those YouTube buttons. You got to like, you got to comment, you got to subscribe, you got to do all that stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.